came to Mexico. So I'm so very happy to meet you now. And hopefully when this strange thing is over, I hope to meet you in person. That would be wonderful.
Yes, I hope so.
You live in La Jolla, right?
I live in La Jolla, yes.
Okay, so it's not too far away from us. So hopefully we will be able to meet in the near future.
I hope so too, honey.
And again, Dr. Eger, thank you so very much for your time and for your presence and for your life and for your beauty.
Oh, you're so welcome. Really appreciate talking to you, and hopefully I can be useful, that people can look at their lives and make some changes so they could really feel that they have meaning in their lives and purpose. And I'm very proud. I'm very proud to my ancestors, because they survived all the difficulties and they never gave up. So I will want to talk about how to look at life from inside out, not from the outside in. And
Exactly.
this is a good time to do that. We are all locked in now. It's a good time to make changes.
Exactly. And you don't mind if we start not with the present, but with the past a little bit, because people are very, very interested in hearing from your own voice about your own experience. Would that be okay?
Chivis, ya estamos online, ¿eh? Si quieres,
Okay.
¿comenzamos?
Okay, so we
Uno.
are starting.
Ok, estamos al aire cuando gusten.
Ok. Bueno, pues muy buenas tardes a todos. Querida auditorio que nos está viendo por todos lados, tenemos el enorme, enorme honor de tener con nosotros esta tarde a una persona maravillosa, la doctora Edith Eva Eger. Esta actividad queremos agradecerle a la familia Calderón Minkin, que gracias a su generosa ayuda podemos hacer esta actividad en nombre del bar mitzvah de su hijo Manuel, a quien le deseamos Mazal Tov, y esta actividad de Beteles en conjunto con el grupo Rabin y el SEJ, a quienes agradecemos siempre su apoyo. Y bueno, la verdad es que creo que la doctora Eger no necesita mayor presentación. Es una mujer que hoy nos acompaña aquí con un gran mensaje, con su presencia luminosa, maravillosa, una mujer que vivió dificultades muy grandes y sin embargo aquí la tenemos fuerte, valiente y hermosa. Ella, ustedes sabrán que nació en Hungría. A los 16 años ella y su familia fueron llevados a Auschwitz, en donde perdió a sus padres, y afortunadamente con su gran fuerza, de la cual después nos platicará, pudo salir adelante y hacer una vida extraordinaria, empezando con muchas dificultades desde que tuvo que emigrar a Estados Unidos con su esposo Bela. Y como muchos migrantes judíos al principio en Estados Unidos la tuvo muy, muy difícil, madre de 3 hijos, lo sacó adelante, y con ese deseo de salir y dejar atrás su pasado, decidió estudiar psicología, se graduó de la Universidad de Texas, después hizo un doctorado y actualmente, además de recibir pacientes, ella se dedica a dar pláticas en muchísimos lugares, ha sido entrevistada por muchísima gente, entre ella Oprah Winfrey y muchos que no tiene caso ahorita mencionar, pero gracias a su valentía y a su fuerza en sus conferencias, lo que ella habla acerca de la libertad y cuál es la vía para que una persona, a través de su fuerza pueda sacar el dolor y salir adelante. Entonces, a nombre de todos, we welcome you, Dr. Eger. Thank you so very much for being here. And so, en este momento lo que vamos a hacer, voy a iniciar con una pregunta y la doctora nos va a platicar un poquito y poco a poco iremos recibiendo preguntas de ustedes del público por Facebook y la doctora con muchísimo gusto nos irá platicando, ¿ok? Entonces esperamos sus preguntas, sus comentarios, and I'm going to start with a question that I've been thinking about. You have traveled all over the world and talked to many different audiences.
Yeah.
What part of your story or your message do you think has most strongly impacted on people's lives?
I think the most important message I give you, that you matter, that all of us were put in this world, hopefully that we can do everything in our power, that nothing ever will happen what I have experienced in Auschwitz. So I'm totally committed. And when I go to Mexico, I tell everybody that when I feel that I'm really wanting some love, I go to Mexico. You are the most loving, beautiful people. I love to go to Mexico. And of course, I love your food, but most of all, I love your Jewish soul, that we can get together and we can celebrate life, because we don't appreciate many times what we have until we lose it. I just spoke to someone whose mother was in a concentration camp for 6 years, and she's still not able to somehow make peace, that her mom was not able to really just all of a sudden become the most loving mom. And so the work I do is that I hold your hand and we take a journey in grieving, feeling, and healing. You cannot heal what you don't feel. And I think to be proud as a Jewish woman, I know that when I see Fiddler on a Roof, I can see the most beautiful survivor, the woman who makes her husband feel that he makes all the decisions in the world. He is the hero, he is the man of the family, and yet she's the wise one and knows exactly how to really truly make the decision, that not just me, and thinking about nothing but myself. I think in Auschwitz we learned that we all had each other and we had to be supportive and form a family of the unfortunate places where we were, to become sisters and to take care of each other and go beyond the ego needs and me's. And all we had was each other then. And of course, all we have is each other now. I don't know if you are reading my book and knowing that my parents had 2 beautiful girls and they wanted to have a son. And I was the 3rd girl in my family. And my sisters were not so loving because I was cross-eyed, and they took me for a walk and they covered my eyes so no one would see what an ugly sister they have. And to top of all that, my mom looked at me very seriously and she said, "I'm so glad you have brains because you have no looks." And so I don't know how you were named in your family, but my sister was the pretty one. Even today, when I talk to her, she tells me she's gorgeous. And she's the one who was with me in Auschwitz. And I tell her how gorgeous she is because She is the most elegant, beautiful woman that she's a very, very fashionable woman as well. My father was a dress designer, and he said, when I grow up, I will be the best dressed girl in town. So I always want to say, Papa, watch me fly. I very much miss my parents. I still do. And I'm also hoping that I can be a good parent and a good role model to you, how you get up in the morning and love yourself, because self-love is self-care. It's not narcissistic. Narcissistic people don't like themselves. So I'm 92 years young. And you know what? You have to be old to be young. And why am I so young? Because I live in the present. I don't forget the past, ever, but I don't live there. I'm going through the valley of the shadow of death. And I like to really tell you to be able to somehow find a good balance in your life. Because if you're angry, chances are you're not going to have passion and joy in life. If you're looking for revenge, you're not going to be really, truly, totally free. And that's why I'm hoping to let you know that being a proud Jew means to me that I celebrate my ancestors, because it took them 40 years and it wasn't so easy. And life is not easy, but you never give up. So I'm kind of looking at life more and more like climbing a mountain. And we climb and we slip and we climb and we slip. And here I am still climbing, very curious, wanted to go and see what's happening and in what way I can contribute to the betterment of mankind, because love is not what you feel, it's what you do. And I know that you are very committed. When I spoke to the Sephardic Jewish community in Mexico City, oh my God, hundreds and hundreds of people showed up. I couldn't tell you how much love I received. I still feel it, truly. So I don't know whether you are the Sephardic family or the Ashkenazi family, but I know that we are hoping to really learn from each other and empower each other, that I can be I and you can be you. I know that when I speak at the school in Mexico City, I am totally impressed, because the children speak Spanish, English, Hebrew, and Yiddish. Isn't that amazing? That is really amazing. I really want to give you a standing ovation that these children, not only bilingual or even trilingual, I mean, that is something to be very proud of.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eger. And talking, you just said about your life in Auschwitz and how you had to be supportive with each other. And many people in our audience have read your book, and many others were in the school when you were here in Mexico. And I had some questions that would like to ask you. And one, if you don't mind, about your different experiences in Auschwitz. Like, for instance, when you were in the barrack, how many girls were there? Were there from different countries or no? And in what language did you communicate with each other? And if you could tell us about a little bit about your life there.
I had a wonderful friend, and she came from Yugoslavia, and She was very proud of her country, and I was very proud of my country. But what I learned from her, that she made up her mind that we're going to be liberated in December, Christmas time. And Christmas came, and unfortunately, her dream didn't come true, and she died. So what I have really learned, not to really just have expectation and then to give up, because sometimes we expect something to happen and it doesn't happen. It doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you. It just means that you are not rejected. It just means that your expectations were not met. So I ask people to acknowledge that it's okay to be disappointed, but don't get discouraged. And it's okay to be angry. Just don't allow it to lead to resentment. Because while you are resenting somebody, you're giving your power away. And then you're still a prisoner. So we had each other then, and all we have is each other now. My sister ate the piece of bread that was kind of like a sawdust, and a soup that it was terrible. But I saved the bread because I knew that she's hungrier than I am. And when I danced for Dr. Mengele, because they actually threw me in front of him, I remember when he gave me a piece of bread that I could have gobbled up the bread, but I climbed up. I was on on the top place, and I shared it with the girls. So what is important for us to truly just commit ourselves to each other, because if you were just for the me, you didn't. I also remember that my sister Magda asked me when we were totally, completely naked, and she asked me the question, how do I look? And I had a choice then, and I tell you, you have a choice now, whether you point out someone what they don't have. You know, sometimes we tell our little girl, maybe, you're a very pretty girl, but you're a little fat and a little, you know, so I say, give me the but and I give you an and. Yes, and that before you say anything, ask yourself, is it kind? Is it important? Is it very necessary for me to say that? And if you're not kind, then don't say it. I think kindness is so, so important. You know, I was with Eric Fromm in Mexico, and actually he told me that he was tired of making people well in America and living in a society that is not healthy. That all they care about, of course, the Gucci and the Pucci and the externals. So I think that Auschwitz was a place for discovery for us to really become the hopeful people rather than hopeless people.
Tell them what you said to Magda when her hair was shaven.
When Magda was shaven and she asked me, how do I look? I said to her, Magda, you have beautiful eyes, and I didn't see it when you had your hair all over the place. So I was practicing even then to point out what is, not what isn't. And I think it's good to be a realist, but not an idealist. And what is important today, why people are so frustrated, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that was the same thing there. 4 o'clock in the morning, we stood in the appel. We didn't know where we're going to go. When we took a shower, we didn't know whether gas or water is going to come out. So there is no guarantee of any kind. I think we just had to be with each other and support one another. And even though they took my blood many, many times, and I asked, why do you take my blood? And the guy said, to aid the German soldiers so we can win the war and take over the world. And I spoke German those days. I couldn't yank my arm away, but I said to myself, with my blood, you're never gonna win the war. You see that I still had a humor in me, because they could throw me in a gas chamber and they beat us, of course, a lot. You know, I have a very bad back now. But they never could murder my spirit. So that's what I want to be today, to really turn you on to your spirit, that God gave us the choice, really, to truly love each other, but be a realist and not a dreamer. It's good to dream, just don't confuse your realism with your romanticism. I was 16 years in love, and I was a very active Zionist. My boyfriend and I were going to go to Palestine. So we were very serious teenagers, and we were very learned. And I became just what my mother told me, that in the cattle car, when she hugged me, and she said, we don't know where we're going and what will happen. Just remember, no one can take away from you what you put in your mind. And that's what I tell the children, to stay in school and don't smoke pot and don't drink, because the alcohol is going to change your body chemistry. So I'm very much into hopefully telling children that God doesn't make junk, that God gave you the joy, the love, and most of all, passion for life.
And,
I like to be for something rather than against something.
and Dr. Eger, what gave you this inner force and made you so optimistic, even being in Auschwitz and even being beaten, and even when your sisters were mean to you and you were good to Magda? How could you do it being so young? Where did you take that from?
You know, I am with my God that I discovered in Auschwitz, that guiding me to turn hatred into pity. I somehow developed this idea that they were the prisoners, not me. And I changed that hatred by feeling sorry for them, that they throwing children into the oven without even gassing them, that I was free and my conscience was good. So I created a world that they could never touch. They could never, ever touch and murder my spirit. And of course, I was 16-year-old in love, and unfortunately, he told me I have beautiful eyes and beautiful hands. So I would ask everybody, tell me about my eyes and tell me about my hands. And I said to myself, tomorrow I'll be free. I was going into the tomorrow. If I survive today, then tomorrow I'll be free. I didn't even enter the idea that I'm not going to make it. So that will, that tremendous desire to do some good. And of course, I danced for Dr. Mengele and closed my eyes and pretended that the music was Tchaikovsky, and I was dancing the Romeo and Juliet at the Budapest Opera House. So this is what happens now. Many children close their eyes and they pretend they are somewhere else, especially when they're in school. I ask them to stay in the school with the teacher. Don't try to do and use your little machines, okay? Be 100% with the teacher and see how you can become the best student, the student of life, and see how you can become also an adult. Because children don't care about the consequences many times. You ask a child, why do you do that? And they would say, because I feel like it. And they don't care whether it's going to harm them or not. But as an adult, you still feel like it because God gave us temptation. Why? So we can practice the freedom of choice. I love sugar and I love my Hungarian chocolate cake, but the doctor told me that I'm pre-diabetic, so I make it and give it away, and I look at it and I say, who's going to win today, you or me? So you're always going to have temptation, but up to you whether you're going to reach for it or act upon it or not.
And now that you're talking about freedom, today, do you really feel free of the shadows, free of what happened there, free of Mengele?
I don't really know what to do with the word overcome. I don't overcome. I'm reminded almost every day when I walk in a cobblestone or when I see the world wire somewhere, almost every day, but I'm not there. I'm here. So I'm not running from my past. I don't fight it or try to overcome it. It's a special place in my heart that I call my cherished wound. I cherish it because I was in a place learning more and more how to look at life from inside out. And today I am so happy that I have 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandsons. So that's the wonderful thing. And right now I have twins. They were just born 2 months ago. And here they are. Let me show it to you.
Ay, congratulations, Matzo Tov. They are beautiful, gorgeous.
I like to be for something. I was very suicidal when I was liberated. I had a cast and I had tremendous fear and I could hardly breathe. I had typhoid fever and I just didn't realize that my parents are not coming back. While I was there, I still had hopes that I'm going to meet my boyfriend. And I found out that he unfortunately was killed a day before liberation. And my parents are not coming back. So I wanted to die because, you know, it's easier to die than to live. You can look at your birth certificate. It doesn't say life is easy. There is no guarantee. But I'm so glad that God told me that if I die now, it's not the best I can do. And you can always ask whatever you're doing, is this the best I can do? I think we Jewish people talk to ourselves, which is very good.
Ay, se trabó. Se congeló la imagen.
To take time out
Okay.
and see how you can change.
Do me a favor, can you repeat the last sentences because I don't know what happened and we couldn't hear you very well. About, you were talking about how did you feel when you got liberated? And you felt suicidal. What happened then? Ay, se está congelando. Se está
Estamos
congelando.
teniendo un problema técnico con el internet. Tengamos
Sí,
un poquito de paciencia, vamos a intentar volver a conectarnos.
ok.
Creo que ya estamos.
Okay, we need to be
Okay.
patient.
Okay, now we are back. I think we had some technical problems with the internet, but now we are back.
Yeah, good. And you
Okay, okay. So I'm sorry, Dr. Eger, you were telling us about the part where you were liberated and almost died there, and how I was reading the book and I couldn't imagine how much suffering was there. How could you got over this and over the losses, your parents, your Eric? What happened with you physically and emotionally?
Physically, I was about to die.
Ay, otra vez. See, I'm sorry. We're still having here some problems, algunos problemitas con el internet que nos está fallando. A ver, vamos a esperar. We will wait a few seconds to see what's going on with our internet. Maybe just a few seconds. No, not yet. Estamos aquí esperando un momentito a que nos regrese el internet. No sé si ya está regresando.
No, lamentablemente por un tema técnico se desconectó la doctora. Vamos a intentar ver si la podemos volver a enlazar. Tengamos un minutito de paciencia.
Ok. Mientras yo le comento a nuestro auditorio que esta entrevista la vamos a retransmitir un poquito más adelante con subtítulos por si alguien quiere preguntar algo o entender un poquito mejor lo que nos está platicando la doctora. Y vuelvo a comentar que para que no se me olvide al final que agradecemos muchísimo a la familia Calderón Minkin de veras por su aportación y poder llevar a cabo esta gran experiencia por el bar mitzvah de su hijo Manuel. Y bueno, ya saben que por el Facebook nos pueden mandar preguntas, que ya recibimos unas cuantas y nada más esperamos que regrese el internet para poder...
Ya se está conectando. En un minutito debemos volver a tenerla.
Perfectísimo. Okay.
We are
Yeah,
Great. Welcome back. Okay, great. Thank you so very much. So we are here again with you and listening to you.
thank you. Wonderful. I hope that you are really celebrating every moment of life, but not to really try to forget that you may be faced with the unexpected as we are now, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I like everyone to know that the more we are supporting each other, the better we are. See, when we were liberated, people would go through the gate and then they would come back. See, freedom is not so easy because when you're free, you cannot blame anyone. You have to take responsibility for your life. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Yeah, it's difficult to be aware of it.
Yeah, we were free and people would walk out and then come back and sit down because we didn't know what it means to be free, you know, and that is so important. I've been working with battered wives, you know, and their husband brainwashed them that they are nothing without him, and they believe it. They believe it, and the husband beats them, and they don't go away because they don't know how to be really on their own. So I think it's very, very important for us to become good parents to us. So whatever you do, ask yourself, do I love me? And that's really, you want to know what's good for you. What is good for you to have balance in your life, that you're working, you're loving, and you're playing. And the Mexican Jewish families are the best. You like each other. You do Friday night dinners together. And believe me, you are the most beautiful, beautiful people that I truly admire. Truly admire.
Thank
are
you so
very
much.
good role models, very good role models.
Thank you so much. What advice would you give to the people right now with the world that we are living and the world you lived? What would you say about that?
Well, if you want to save the world, start with you. See how you can show up and to find a goal that you have. If people who have goals are better. You know, when I was 40 years old, I was told to go get a doctorate. And I told my supervisor, it's impossible. By the time I get a doctorate, I'll be 50. And he told me, you'll be 50 anyway. So why don't you use this time to really make a decision? You may want to go back to school. You may want to learn more Yiddish. You may want to really, hopefully, go dancing. Go dancing. See, my dancing is...
Ay, se nos volvió a congelar. Ay. Se volvió a congelar la imagen. Otra vez, we are still, again, having problems with our internet. Vamos a ver si se regresa prontísimo el internet. Vamos a ver qué pasa, si es nuestro internet o el de allá.
No, es la doctora que se está tiene algún problemita con el internet.
Ajá.
Nuevamente se volvió a desconectar.
Ajá.
Vamos a intentar, como dice el dicho, la tercera es la vencida.
Exacto.
Ahí volvió la doctora.
Ay, qué bueno, qué bueno. Okay, here we are again, Dr. Eger. Hello.
Everything begins with us. We're all alone, and hopefully that we can show up for each other and support one another. I think you, the Mexican Jewish people, should be carried around the world and show how love is not what you feel, it's what you do. And especially when the father shows the children the way he takes care of their mother and how he takes care of you, the wife, and the one that will be making decisions that not just benefit him, but the whole family. It's cooperation, not competition or domination. It's about cooperation, because all we have was each other then, and all we have is each other now. So I hope to be a good role model, that I don't count the numbers, and I am just so very pleased that God gave me a second chance in life. And I appreciate every moment. When I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror and I'm so grateful. I'm full of gratitude today. And I'm hoping that you are too, because there'll never be another you. That the only one that ever God created is you. You're one of a kind. You're one of a kind. Diamond. So I know that you teach Yiddish, don't you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yes, I teach Yiddish, yes. I love Yiddish since I was born because my Zayde lived with us at home. So Yiddish
yeah.
for me is like a whole
Yeah.
life.
That is wonderful because in America, you know, young people don't want to take in their parents. They put them in an old age home.
Exactly. And
Mexico, that's not
no. And talking about old people, Dr. Eger, what would you recommend for people 80 and over to keep positive in a positive state of mind now and later on?
I think it's very good for the children to go to the old grandma and ask grandma that they have to make a good grade in school and they have to make a good grade. And would you please help me? And then they'll tell you their story rather than saying, please tell me your no, not like that, but help me. And then they're gonna tell you everything. So you got to really keep her mind alive. And the short-term memory is very different than the long-term. So they will not remember what happened to my glasses 5 minutes ago, but they will remember what happened in Auschwitz 75 years ago. So the long-term memory, the more you use it, the more you use it. I ask 2 questions. One of them is, when did your childhood end? And many of the survivors' children had to take care of their parents when they were young because the parents were immigrants. The parents didn't speak the language of the country. So when did your childhood end is a very good question because we grieve over not what happened, but what didn't happen. So when my granddaughter was in high school and she had to go to a dance and she asked me to buy her a beautiful dress. And I came home and I started to cry. I didn't understand, why am I crying? Realizing that I cried because I never went to a dance. I think life is about grieving and feeling and healing. That is so important. So my second question is, would you like to be married to you?
Wow. Good question.
Yeah. Go tell your husband you're ready to have a love affair and you want to have it with him. You know, I think men like compliments, not yes, but, and don't give any criticism. And that's what you practice. Children don't do what we say, they do what they see. You have a family of love, then you're not going to yell at each other or put each other down or criticize, and you're going to celebrate. Every one of us are unique, very special, one of a kind. And that's what I didn't know either. But when I had a ballet master, and I think he was a son of a rabbi, he told me that I'm so beautiful, but everything in life has to come from inside out. And that I remembered in Auschwitz, when nothing came from the outside. Nothing. And when
excuse me, no, please continue.
Well, when I arrived in Auschwitz and I stood in line, and Mengele pointed to the left and the right and wanted to know, is this your mother or your sister? And imagine, I never could forgive myself that I said, my mother.
And you have to live with it.
And I had to live with it. And I had such survivor's guilt. When I graduated with honors, I never showed up for my graduation. I did not even give myself the permission to celebrate. I also like to say that after 2 girls, my son was born, and my son was born, and my husband was very, very happy because the Rabbi Akiba Eger, and that the name, now he's going to carry the Eger name. But my son did not function as well as my girls. He didn't walk on time and talk on time. And I was told to go up to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And a wonderful neurologist told me that my son is not retarded. I was told my son is retarded and I better look for school for retarded children. This was in 1960. And
Wow.
this man, Dr. Clark, told me that my son needs speech therapy, occupational therapy. And then he said, you're going to be what you make of him. Imagine how I was shaking.
Wow.
And charged me $10. And I went home and I dropped out of school and I did everything what the doctor told me to do. And my son John graduated as a top 10 student from the University of Texas.
Wow.
So you see, that's what you learn in Auschwitz. You never, ever give up. No matter which way, if I can't get in the front door, I'm going to try the side window. That's what I want my message to be, that believe me, I am not a shrink, I'm a stretch. So I want to stretch your possibilities, your choices, and you may want to just go back to school, and it's never too late, never ever too late, because you're beautiful, you're very, very beautiful, one of a kind, Mexican, loving, beautiful child of God. And that's how I feel.
Dr. Eger, what would be the window, the side window, now that we are all confined in our homes, especially the elderly? What would be a window for them?
They're probably moving inside of themselves, because many people told me to write a book many years ago. And I would say, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. This is the time to discover that the opposite of depression is expression. What comes out of your body doesn't make you ill. This is a good time to start your story.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yes.
This is the time to start writing, because my book is in my children's, grandchildren, great-grandchildren's living room table.
And you are starting another book, right?
I have another book, it's called A Gift. And I think life is a gift. It's given to us to choose, whether we choose in the morning hate or whether choose in the morning love. Love doesn't mean the romantic love, because love is a chemical high that lonely people get from chocolate. That's why old people like chocolate, because they feel alone too much. That's why it's very important to choose early in the morning how you're going to feel at night. And I am the evening part of my life. And I am going to be, I know, very happy when I die, because I know that I did everything in my power to celebrate what is the Jewish, really, memory. The best is the memory that we have, and the memory that I don't want anyone to forget.
Mm-hmm.
And to be sure that your children and grandchildren will never experience what I did. But I don't have time to be a victim. I was victimized. It's not who I am, it's what was done to me.
Exactly. And Dr. Eger, as a clinician, how much or how little do you share of your own trauma with your patients?
How much?
How much or how little do you share with your patients about your own trauma?
I am hopefully very talented to really see what that person is going to get from me that is useful to them. But I let them know, and I share some of my stories, like my son, to never give up. But I'm there to be a guide from darkness to light, from victimization to empowerment. I like the idea of moving from the dark tunnel and look for the light. Because especially when you're on an airplane and you see finally the blue skies after the pilot goes through all kinds of things. And I think in a way, I know for sure that people don't come to me, they're sent to me. So I consider when I lecture at the medical school, I tell the wonderful new arrivals, I tell them that your most obnoxious patient is your best teacher. So what you don't like in someone else, it's time to look at that in you. We were not born to hate. We're not born to judge. And racism, unfortunately, is with us today.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good time for you to begin and find the Hitler in you.
What would you say about the world that we are living today, about the racism? Can you compare it to what you lived in Europe?
I think we're very, very much divided now, terribly divided now. And in America, there are really, truly the dark pages when there was lynching, when people were put on a tree and shot just because of the color of their skin. I think it's a very good time to regroup and redecide that we can hopefully respect one another. And I do everything in my power to be the ambassador for peace. That's what I am here for. I'm really not a fighter, I'm a lover. And I like to talk about being for something rather than blame. Children blame. And while you blame, you're still a child. So you want to be in a country where you have a good role model. And as you know, in the whole world, I think in many places, we have politicians, but we don't have a Churchill, and we don't have statesmen. So I think it's very important to choose who you're going to listen to. And you don't want to listen to a liar, and you want to listen to someone who you respect. And respect means that you want to look at that person and your child looks at you and says, someday I want to be like your mom. Because maybe your child tells, I want to do everything that I'm not going to be like my mom. And then she grows up and becomes just like you,
Exactly.
even more so. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we need to listen. Listen. And
So
don't ask cómo está. Don't ask how are you, because people say fine when they're not fine. It's better to say, I'm so happy to meet you. I don't say, how can I be helpful?
Ay, se nos volvió a congelar la imagen, qué lástima. Estamos hablando muy interesante, escuchando a Dr. Eger acerca del racismo y de los líderes actuales. Vamos a ver si se descongela la imagen, si regresa el internet con ellos. A ver si lo pueden recomponer. A ver si nos contestan, si lo pueden arreglar.
Ya volvió.
Ya volvió, qué bueno. Gracias, Ari.
I'd like to tell you that the more we suffer, the stronger we become. There is something gift in everything. Just remember, don't try to run away from the suffering. Just see what you're learning now to be a survivor and not a victim of anything, any circumstance, anybody. Nobody can make you angry. Nobody can make you feel anything.
So it's yourself.
You have a choice. The
Sí.
gift is a very good book because it's very practical. People wanted me to have another book when they can do how to do this and how to do that. And there is at the end of each chapter gives you something that you can practice. It's very.
That's wonderful, wonderful.
And the third book I'm writing with my daughter is on recipes. So I'm collecting good recipes. Good recipes. Yes.
We will send you some. Of course, we will send you some. Dr. Eger, I have a question here that people would like to know about your experiences with Dr. Frankl. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I was given that book by a fellow student at the university, and when I read it, I just couldn't believe it, because when I came to America, I didn't know how to find good words to tell people where I was, so I kept it a secret. And then I got so excited that I wrote an article, Viktor Frankl and me, little me, and someone sent it to him to Vienna, and I got a letter that he wants to get to know me. And that's how we met, and that's how he invited me to his lecture, and I did the keynote address for his 90th birthday, and he was my mentor and colleague. I wouldn't be the same without him.
And you also danced with him, right?
I also danced with him, and he said, "Is this the last tango?" Yes. Yes.
In Paris?
Yes, he was a true ladies' man, very charming, and he loved to climb the mountains. So he was climbing the mountain in his 70s. He's a wonderful role model for men, especially, to go and climb.
What did you learn from him? What would be the strongest message that you learned from him?
What I learned from him is moving beyond the body and the mind into the spiritual dimension. You see, we have the genes that I cannot change. We have the environment. And in logotherapy, we find how we can respond to something that we cannot change. It is an existential, phenomenological approach, and see how you can find some meaning and purpose in your existence. And this is what I'm grateful for. And this is what I ask people to, that how can you celebrate something new and acknowledge that while you're learning something about something, you become the role model to other people, especially your children. So I think it's important, possibly for many people who are listening now, to ask themselves, what am I doing now? And how's it working? To really be as practical as you can be. I can still do the high kick, but not the same way as I did it. You see, I was a gymnast. And what I have learned in Auschwitz today, I'm putting it in a language of a child when I speak in the schools. I'm not going to talk to young people about cognitive dissonance. They don't know that. Yeah. But I talk to the doctors from the medical school about. So I'd like to meet people where they are, but treat them the way they can become. Yes, that's very important. You never treat a person as they are, but you treat them the way they can really, truly be. They're genuine, one of a kind.
How can you find a normal people, any person? How can you find your inner self, your inner true who you are, or what can you be?
I think what helped me to survive was my curiosity. Be curious. And when you're curious, you always want to know what's going to happen next. So you're not just doing the same thing, but look at the same thing from a different perspective. So I hope to be a good ophthalmologist, that I help you to see, not just look, but to see where you are, and is this the best you can do right now? That you never stop growing, never ever. I never am myself. I want to know what's going to happen next. I just made a matzo ball soup, and I'm dying to find out whether it's going to be tasty, because I put a little beef in it too, and some bones in it, with some marrow bones. And I think life is about cooking and the ingredients that we put in. So I hope the ingredients is not the yes but the yes and. And never, don't say never or always. These are absolutistic words. I never do that. I'm always doing that. Just say, up till now I did that, and now I'm gonna try on something else. And when you switch your car, you switch the gears, you have to release the clutch. So you have to be willing, that's a good word, willing to let go of what is not really getting you what you want, and you just do it because you don't know what else to do. So be curious and use this time to pick up a book you never had before, you didn't have the time, and not to bitch about what's wrong with the world. There is a lot of good in the world as well. And I know that many people are now are getting ill and even dying in the family. But thank God, most people are taking good care of themselves. And I don't know how you are going to teach and for how long. Don't ever retire. I never will.
Okay.
Never retire.
Okay, okay, I promise. Dr. Eger, someone is asking me if you ever returned to Hungary.
Yes, I did. I actually was there with Philip Zimbardo, and I went to the Opera House because that was my dream, to dance at the Budapest Opera House while I was dancing for Dr. Mengele. And he was the one actually who kept pushing me to write a book, because people who survived and famous are all men. You know, there is Elie Wiesel, Viktor Frankl, but they needed, he said, you needed a female voice. So I am a female voice of Viktor Frankl. But he was 39 years old and a medical doctor, and I was a 16-year-old in love. So we were operating from a different mentality and a different age. I was a teenager in love. And I think being in love is very different than being loving. You want to read Eric Fromm, The Art of Loving.
Excuse me, two more questions before we end, okay? A very important question is if you could mention, how did you feel about the sign Arbeit macht frei when you returned to Auschwitz? How did you feel then?
When we first arrived, my father said, Arbeit macht frei means that we're just going to work and then go home. And that didn't happen at all. When I returned to Auschwitz, I asked my sister to come with me because we lost our family and we never went to a funeral.
Mm.
And I worked with actually 2 paraplegics coming from Vietnam, and I realized I can take them further than I have gone myself. And I decided to go back to that Lion's Den. But my sister told me that I'm an idiot. She didn't at all. And she told me I'm a masochist. And so I had to respect. She does it her way. I consider it the most positive thing I've ever done. So I can reclaim my true self. And everybody can do that now, to reclaim your precious self, that you can find that true you that you gave up when you were a little girl. Do you know that if you're a firstborn child and you marry a firstborn, you're going to have power struggles because you have 2 bosses. And if you're a middle child, you're going to become a good Kissinger. You're going to be a good peacemaker. But the young people, we call it the charming manipulators.
I'm the fourth girl,
You are
the youngest sister.
All right. That's what we call the younger people, the charming manipulator. I was the youngest child, but I don't think I fit into that at all, because I think I took care of my sister and she thinks she took care of me. So what is the truth? It's all subjective. There is my truth, there is your truth. But for you to take care of your parents and bring them to your home, to me, I respect that more than anything else that you do for others.
For others. And to finish, I would like to ask you something very, very easy. What is your favorite food, and if you have any hobbies?
Oh my God. Well, of course, I love dancing. I think the favorite food, I love Mexican enchiladas with the tomatillas, but because so, and I love guacamole. I love Mexican food actually very much, and I love the beans very much as well. But I like any kind of food as long as it's not spicy. Okay. I like the Wiener Schnitzel, and somebody who goes to Mexico City buys me the veal, and I get the Wiener Schnitzel from a friend. And I also make Hungarian food that I like to cook, chicken paprikash and the goulash. And so I almost like anything, but Mexican food is really on the top.
Great. Do you still dance?
Of course.
That's unbelievable.
Of course. No, I never stop. I am just so happy to be alive, so happy to talk to you and letting you know that Mexico is a wonderful role model, how to love unconditionally, unconditionally. And that's so wonderful that I had a chance to not only speak to the community, I spoke at the YPO a couple of times. There's a lovely family there, the Lichis, their name, I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
The wonderful people, wonderful people. See, they have the money, but they give it away. They build homes, they educate children. And so I respect very much people. And I know that the Jewish people were supporting the Rothschild Hospital in Vienna when we fled the communists, and they gave me a home and they took care of my child. So I think it's very important to really see that the giving is really getting. So the more you give, the more you feel
get.
to be a mensch, to be a mensch, to be a responsible, loving parent to you.
So
So,
you would say that to give and to love would be the most important ingredients to have a peaceful, loving, good life? To give and to love?
love is, my definition of love is the ability to let go. Let go. Let go.
Okay.
Let go of the need to prove anything. You see, I don't see mothers and fathers the same way. As a mother, you know, I hold my son and I love my son, but that little boy looks at daddy differently. He looks at daddy and says, I want to be just like him, or I want to be everything he's not. And then he grows up and he either becomes just like daddy, or he's working very hard to be everything he's not, but then he's still a prisoner because up to proving something. If you want to prove something, you're still a prisoner. You're a prisoner of the past. If you're just looking for hate, then you're not having joy and passion in life. So there is a price for everything. There is a price for everything. I think love conquers all.
Okay.
I
And
have
your yes.
You know, I'm not my story. I have a story, but you see, I am telling you the way I view things. I have my truth, and you have your truth. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
My sister has her truth, and I know that the Mexican Jewish people hold each other very much alive. You call each other every day, all the time. And it's wonderful to be loved and cared for. I know that a person who lives here now, she's a very kosher woman, and her daughter gave birth to her fourth child. And the Chabad brings every day lunch and dinner.
Wow.
Is that something?
Yeah.
She doesn't have to cook. She
Wow.
has 4 children now, and they come with the lunch and they come with the dinner. I am also very lucky that I get the chicken soup, and I like also salmon sashimi. The Japanese
Yes.
as well. Yes, and they know what I love, and they just bring it just for the love of it. So I'm very fortunate to have beautiful Mexican friends who are truly my family as well.
I'm so glad, and well, we will have to say goodbye. I'm so sorry that time has passed so fast. You have learned us so many things, Dr. Eger. You are an amazing person, an amazing, beautiful lady. So everything that you say, that you have lived for, that you have learned us is so important. And we have to keep in mind many of the things you said. That logotherapy, I think, is so important, mainly in these days that we are living like in a vacuum world.
It's a very difficult time, and you're not a strong woman. You are a woman of strength. See, that's a difference. You're not strong. You have the strength that is inside you.
You build your strength, or the strength comes, or how do you do
You
that?
you make yourself available. You don't resist. Some people spend a lot of time resisting
Uh-huh.
rather than just say, okay, come on, I'm ready. I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to change. Because if you don't change, you don't grow. It's very important to change. That is synonymous with growth. Yeah.
It hurts, but it helps.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Toda rabá. Many thanks, really many thanks.
Thank you.
To our audience, muchísimas gracias a todos. Les recuerdo que se va a repetir esto con subtítulos. Thank you so very much, Dr. Eger. Thank you so very much for the Calderon Minkin family. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, everybody, and hope to see you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Gracias, gracias. I love you.